Hi, kittens. I'm Julie Savone, psychedelic facilitator, integration expert, and your guide for this wild ride, The Inner Trip 365 Days with Plant Medicine. I've helped hundreds of people use plant medicine, primarily psilocybin, to heal, expand, and step into their next level. But this year, I'm taking it even deeper. For the next 365 days, I'm bringing you with me. I'll be microdosing, journeying, integrating, and exploring what it really means to live a limitless life, with plant medicine as a tool, not a crutch. So if you're ready to feel more alive, more clear, more limitless, and you're down to do it with mushrooms and a little bit of sass, you're in the right place. Let's take the inner trip. Hello, kittens! My intention today is to introduce to you our very first guest. I am so excited to have her here. I don't have my big purple guys on today. I have some ear infection thing going on. So I know some of you who are watching me on YouTube are seeing me with my sweater and my purple headphones. We'll be back after this ear infection goes away. But I'm so excited to introduce you to Anna, or as I call her, Big Fat Banana. Do not drop in my comments. We don't know why I call her Big Fat Banana. Commenting on someone's body is so 2003. She's definitely not fat. We're not sure where the fat came from. I literally asked her, why do I call you Big Fat Banana? She could not tell me an answer. I honestly don't remember, but Anna, Banana. If anyone knows me, I literally don't think there's anyone in my life, like, not even my mom, I call her the Coug, who, if I really love you, I don't call you by your name. It's just, I just can't. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. So, Big Fat Banana, Anna Banana started off as a client, and we just really hit it off. She is the owner of the Glow Haven, a sunless tanning, I wanted to say studio again. I know we just talked about that. A sunless studio service that is mobile in Port St. Lucie, Florida. So if you are in Port St. Lucie or in the area, you definitely want to go to Anna. She's all about finding the right solution for you, aka like your lifestyle, your coloring, your skin, right? Like, are you really dry? Are you not? So she's going to find the perfect solution for you so that you look your best, because she is a hoe for making sure you feel beautiful. She loves to say she's a hoe for certain things like ice cream, but she is a very committed and married woman. So men out there, do not even come barking up her tree. The hoe is only for fun things in her heart, not for men, or women for that matter. And she is a dog mom to two amazing dogs, Patches and Lily. She loves her family. She's from the Midwest. Go STL, go Nelly, go Hearts, go Blues. Oh, she's a journalist. She's a journalist major. She was a corporate baddie before she left. And now she also is in my business as my right-hand woman, my EA. And if there is something that has gotten done in my business that's been executed on, it is because Anna has executed on it. So I'm very grateful for her, and I'm so excited to have her here and share her experience with. She obviously started off like as a client experiencing microdosing for herself and her goals, and now she was so passionate about it and she loved it so much that she works with me in the business. So it just goes to show that this is something that is really powerful. It does work, and like it works so well that someone who, like, when we met, there was no, to my knowledge, you can correct me, there was no like, oh, I want a microdose, to all the way now being like, I fucking love this. So let's go. Hello, Anna.
Hi, that was so flattering. Well, thank you. I feel like I need like a walkout song from that. But no, that was awesome. Yes, I'm so happy to be here and thank you for having me.
We do need to get your at bat song. I don't know what it would be. Probably, is it going to be like a worship or a country song?
Worship, country, or rap? You never know.
Can it be
What?
Party in the USA?
Okay, I'm a big Miley Cyrus fan.
I know.
Yes, she knows. Hannah Montana era, Miley Cyrus era, yes.
Okay, guys, here's the game we're playing. So
The
I
game.
we're gonna do a 10-minute, maybe we'll go a little over, a 10-minute rapid fire questions. So I sent Anna 10 questions. I told her I am going to ask her. And she's gonna ask me questions. I don't know the questions that she's going to ask me. That was just my preference. I feel like if I know the question, I'm gonna like perseverate on it and it's not gonna be as good of an answer. And then when we get to the end, I'm going to have Anna share her favorite integration with her, because I know I always leave you cutie kittens with an integration. But I thought it would be more fun to have Anna share hers. So, okay, let me set my timer and let me get my questions up, and then we will jump right into it. Okay, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Boom. First question. Anna, what was going on in your life when you first became open to microdosing?
Yeah, so on the outside, I would say my life looked looked fine. Like I had a job, I was functioning. I actually met Julie at like a spray tan event. So I was, putting myself out there per se. But I had been dealing with like ongoing pain, like physical pain, that was unexplained, lots of doctor's visits. And I also had for a long time had anxiety and just obviously learned to live my life and push through. I was not someone who actively worked on my mental or emotional health. And part of that was because I had a not so fun experience with therapy like in the past. So I had kind of shut that door for a long time. And I was working as a corporate job. I was building the Glow Haven, but I knew I wasn't going to be there long term. I knew that. And I really didn't know what was next. And I didn't know much about microdosing or its benefits until we had our conversation initially. And I would say the best way to describe it's looking back is I was surviving more than living or thriving. Um, and I knew I needed some type of support, and I hadn't ever again like heard of microdosing or plant medicine or anything like that, but I knew I needed to try something. I just didn't know what it would look like.
Yeah, and I really don't want to undersell this for anyone listening. Like, Anna spent so much time and money, like, pursuing some sort of answer from doctors. Like, you'd gone to Mayo, hadn't you, to even like try to
Yep.
figure out what was going on with you?
Yes. Yeah, I spent a week up at Mayo headquarters, got referred. It was like what I had been going through the past year and a half and a week of doctors not talking to each other and referring and referring. And yeah.
And you had like told them about your persistent pain, and they like couldn't tell you anything about why this would be, right?
Yeah. The end like I want to say like how they diagnosed it was just, oh, it's fibromyalgia. I also had doctors say, oh, well, you're probably tired because you have kids. I'm like, no, I don't have kids. Um, and I had like certain things in my blood work and MRI, but nothing that no one like could connect the dots. The rheumatologist would say go to the endocrinologist. I'd go to the endocrinologist. They say go to the neurologist. The neurologist. It's just um and yeah, so lots of ongoing things there. And before I had even obviously gotten to Mayo headquarters, I had kind of, like I said, did the same thing in Florida for the past year and a half, just because it takes longer to get into doctors there too. So yeah, no like definite answer. Um, so
Yeah, and just for anyone listening who's not familiar, like fibromyalgia is basically like a diagnosis by elimination of you can't point to anything else. So it also like once you get there to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, like it's not really a sense of relief because basically all the doctor is telling you we can't figure out anything else. So we're gonna say that you have fibromyalgia, and it's also like there's no definitive treatment plan or like this is something that you can do to like beat fibromyalgia. So it's like very frustrating to hear that. And Anna said she before she went to Mayo, she spent a year and a half doing this in Florida. So it's a long time coming to like basically have no answer. I mean, I feel like you said this in your first answer. You said like, hey, I never heard about microdosing. I wasn't familiar with plant medicine. But it sounds like, and like, please tell me if I'm wrong, that why you decided to give this a try is you just felt like at the end of your rope, I've tried
what do I
everything
have to
else.
lose? Yeah, what do I have to lose? And like I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more too, but like Mayo didn't have problem writing scripts, and I had been on so many medications, and so yes, that's Band-Aid for things, but those also come with a lot of side effects, and obviously plant medicine's more natural. But yeah, I was on those medications, still not thriving, still in pain. Um, and when I was at Mayo, it was like it was just wild, a wild experience. I learned a lot about our healthcare system. So
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating for people who are looking for a root cause approach. Like, I don't just want to take a medication. I want to figure out what's going on with me. Um, and I'm curious, like, as someone who had no background, like you weren't familiar with this. It's not like you had read about it time you're like, oh, I want to try this. So you were very like open, and also say like fresh is kind of the word I'm thinking of. Like you didn't have any preconceived notions. So what were you most surprised by when we started working together, when you started microdosing?
I think like how subtle it is. Like I know you talk about this a lot. It's less than a glass of wine or Benadryl, but I had been on these medications that were, like pain relievers were very strong that I did not want to become dependent on long term, and they also didn't really work. So I think I was just surprised at how little the side effect was, and like that there was zero negative side effects. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong because you know the science behind it, but like any prescription you get, it's like a mile long of potential negative side effects.
Yeah, I only laughed earlier because Anna's definitely heard me say the same thing over and over again, which is like, Mike, you shouldn't feel microdosing. It's less than a glass of wine or a gummy or a Benadryl. But yeah, I don't know of any medication that you take that doesn't have side effects, right? Like even Advil, and I'm not knocking Advil. Like when I have cramps, I take Advil, but
Yeah.
it's still like it comes with a side effect. And of course, like if you're allergic to mushrooms, microdosing is not for you. Um, and there are some people who it's not a good fit for, right? Like we talk about schizophrenia or bipolar. But when it comes to, you're a good candidate, there are no side effects to negative side effects to microdosing. Of course, there's benefits, and I would love to know, like, what has been your biggest benefit, Anna, since you started microdosing?
Well, I would say my biggest benefit has been also, I don't, I know you sent me the questions and I should have but I would say not losing my shit. So like stability and clarity. So I have a lot's changed in my life the past like 9 months that Julie and I have known each other, and I would probably be the person drinking too much wine, using that as a crutch and or something that probably I wouldn't be like as stable as am like going through it, and I would say I'm way less reactive. Julie gave me a great exercise of like you only have so many fucks a day to give to people, and like when you're in pain there's already like some of those are going to be given out, um and so just like I think that's been also contributing to my like stability, is being aware of what I'm putting my energy to that I do have control over.
Yeah, and look, I wanted this to feel like a real conversation. I don't want anyone to think just because I gave you the questions that like you're now reading from a script. So I'm happy you're giving me your like real
Yeah.
instinctual answer in the moment. And it's true. Like I also don't want to undersell this. Like we don't have to go into it, but a lot of stuff has happened in Anna's life. Like I always say, there is no magic pill to suddenly make your life like perfect or conflict free. Life will life. That is like we have seasons that are hard, seasons that feel a little easier, but what microdosing can do when you do it intentionally and with the lens of integration is it can make it easier to maintain your shit, right? To stay calm, cool, and collected, to be responsive, to have boundaries, to protect your, like, I know it sounds cutesy, we see it on Instagram, but protect your peace. And that's what I have seen you've been able to do throughout all of this.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I would also say like it also did like another thing I would say is it made me realize how powerful like my mind and my thoughts are. Um and I'm like not taken out by them, because when Julie's like, we're gonna feel all the things, I was like, no, absolutely not. And I mean, look at me now.
Look at you now.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. You can't get out of this without feeling. So if you're like, I'm absolutely not going to do that, probably not the girl for you. But what
I
would you
kind of said that to you, but you're like, we're gonna feel them.
Yeah, but I felt like I mean, we gotten far enough in the conversation. I was like, if
Yeah.
she's really not open, she would not still be talking to me because I'm very transparent about this is how it works. This is what we're gonna do.
Hmm.
So if some people like to say no, but they mean yes, and I don't mean that for you creepy guys out there. If a woman tells you no, listen.
Yeah. The
um,
lawyer and Julie's like, hold on.
Consent. Yeah. What surprised you the most? Like not necessarily your biggest benefit, but you were like, oh, that's weird. I noticed this.
I would say, hmm. I'm glad you sent me the questions before. I would say honestly, just like the clarity too. So
Mm.
even though a lot's gone in my life and I haven't, gone off the rails, that I also have, I feel like, clarity around, I guess, a lot of things. Or, yeah, I would say clarity.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a big one that people get, right? It just can give you so much, like so many aha moments, downloads, clarity, however you want to call it. So, happy you received that benefit. Definitely a big one that a lot of people notice. How did the integration work play a role in really making sure that the benefits you were receiving stick?
Yes. So I was going to say, well, that's also integration. Like when we were talking about that, I would say like integration was everything because there is off periods. I mean, I've been working with you like long enough. Like have taken like over a month off, at times. And I've built habits and reflection and like support where I'm still doing a lot of this like things. So for example, like journaling or like reading or whatever I would normally do when I microdose. Um like I'm still implementing that and it's like benefiting me. So
Yes. Take all those habits and make them part of your life because that is the magic of
yeah.
microdosing.
And I just want to be like very clear that I used to be the person that's like, give me the Lexapro. I don't want to sit here and talk about my feelings. And
Mm.
that's coming from me saying that the integration is like everything with this work because you're not going to be microdosing all the time. That's like not the goal.
Yes. Oh my God. I feel like I'm having a proud moment of like, at least I know I'm not just talking at the wall and I'm not saying it in a way that people can't understand. So that makes me so happy. And I'm so happy that it's working for you, right? Like that's always the goal. Who cares if, you don't understand me, like, but if it doesn't work for you, that is the most important.
Mhm.
So what would you say to someone who like is curious about this, but is thinking like, I don't know, like psychedelics, plant medicine, I don't know if this is for me.
I would say look at the back of a food label. But seriously, like that was like another thing we haven't really touched on with this is yes, prescriptions can be good in certain situations, but I think stuff from the earth God gave us is probably like what's meant for you. Um, and yeah, I would say if you're really worried about that, then why are people still going to McDonald's? I love McDonald's still, but I also am open to microdosing. So, just stuff that you put in your body day to day, including a prescription.
Yeah.
I, yeah, I just would say that. I know that's kind of harsh.
No, I mean we got a lot of PFAS out there. God knows what's going in our body at this point. I think that's fair, and I think that's real, and a lot of people could hear that one, perhaps again and again. I realized I wrote my last question weird, so I want you to interpret this however you want. I think I meant like, what is something you want people listening to know about me? But like, if you want to give me a performance review, what is something you want me to know?
Um, that Okay, I'm gonna take it. What I want people to know about you is that the energy that you bring to things is, I think, also like a key part of this and how you explain things. Again, I didn't know what microdosing was. I couldn't even probably repeat it back to you, when we got off our first call, um, let alone I wasn't working with you, and you explain it in such a way that's backed by science, um not like any woo woo, stuff that someone can understand. And th- what you've said, it has been my experience with this. So I know there's a lot of like I know there's a lot of like coaches. I wouldn't say I don't know psychedelic coaches or whatever, but do you know how refreshing it is to get something that you're expecting? Like nothing changed from the first call to like our last call when we were working together in the program. Besides like me understanding like more, but like it wasn't a facade.
Oh, thank you, Anna. I appreciate that.
You're
I like to
welcome.
be integrous and real, so thank you for reflecting that back to me.
Well, you earned it.
Thank you. I love that. I loved hearing your perspective. I definitely learned
Mhm.
some new things, and it felt like, okay, the work is working. So should we flip the table?
Yes, let me get my thing pulled up here.
I am ready.
I'm so glad you're ready. Journalism Anna.
I know we're investigating.
Okay.
Okay.
So, a lot of the people, the women that are listening probably are crushing it externally, but don't feel successful on the inside.
Yeah.
What's the moment that you know someone has officially outgrown the life they built?
Ooh, okay. I don't know what it's going to look like person to person, but I will tell you the moment that it was for me. And if anyone's like, I've had a moment like this, then perhaps it is for you. I used to be an attorney and I did have the life that looked freaking bomb, like fancy bags, fancy shoes, clothes, going on trips, fun friends, hot friends. Like I had all this stuff that looked awesome on the grid. But I had this moment. I was in this nice big house. I was an attorney. I think it was around Christmas time, and I'm just like sobbing on the couch because I knew that I had anxiety at that point. Like I didn't get diagnosed with all my mental health stuff until I was already in law school, my last year of law school. But I knew I had anxiety. I knew I had seasonal depression. Like I had been on Prozac, and I had done like the yoga and the movement and the body scans and the meditation. I was like, I cannot, this is I'm struggling so bad. Like no matter what I do, I'm still anxious and I'm just like, is this it? Like and I really kind of felt like this is it. And I kind of that was my bottom moment. I had to hit rock bottom and almost think like, nope, it's never gonna get better for me. And I don't know what that was. Maybe it was like I was instead of like fighting it, I was a little bit more like people might think you'd be resigned, but I think I was just a little bit more open. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to keep going. And that after that, I found my first coach. And a while after that, I started to get um, certified myself, and found psychedelics. And I'm here now, completely anxiety free. But it did take a while.
Yes, that's such a. I didn't know you were going to go into your example, but that's like I mean, very, because I was going to, like, what does that look like when it shows up in someone's life? Well, there you go.
That's what it was for me. I don't know what's going to be for anyone else, but it was very like, fuck. Is this it? That's how I felt.
Okay. I love that, though, that you, because on paper, and we've talked about this before, like being logical or being rational, it was probably really hard to walk away from that. Like seeing, okay, I went to law school. I have this, I passed the LSAT, all of that. And look at you now.
Yeah, I mean, there's just such like a sunk cost fallacy. I remember it took me forever to stop putting attorney on because at the time I was dating. Well, I'm still dating now. I've had some relationships in between, but at the time I was dating, I was on Hinge, and it took me so long to let go of lawyer on the Hinge because I had created so much like connection of worthiness between my title and who I was. And I really had to separate myself from my profession. And even today, as a business owner, I have to like separate myself from my business and realize I am not my business. My results in my business do not have anything to do with how good of a person I am.
Yes. Yeah, that's the hyperachiever in you.
We just had a call last night for
Yeah,
Unbreakable,
about
and
it.
that was one of the saboteurs we went over. And I do have quite a strong little higher achiever saboteur.
Yes. Yes. Okay. If someone keeps on setting goals and never following through, what is that actually like about on an emotional level? Is it a motivation thing? What?
Jeez. Okay, first of all, I also wanted to say, someone probably noticed, or maybe no one did. I gave up I thought the questions were so good that I was asking Anna. I liked her conversation. I threw out the timer, so we're throwing out the timer on this one. Let's just see where we get
Okay.
here because I don't like feeling
Okay.
rushed. Um, yeah, so if someone's setting a goal and they're not achieving them, what this is telling me that there is actually a part of them that doesn't feel safe to get there, or they're afraid of something around it, because I don't believe in like procrastination. I don't believe in laziness. When you are not doing something that you quote unquote want to do or said you were going to do, there is a deeper sense of dysregulation there. Our brains are just programmed to keep us alive. Literally, that's their only job. It's like corporal survival, like your body corporal, right? So if you're not doing something, it's because there's a part of your brain that feels threatened by the act of doing it. And we live in just such a different time in civilization. I feel like our brains right now are kind of this bridge between primal, saber-toothed tigers and like aliens and computers and superhumans, right? I don't mean like we're going to become robots, but our brains have so much potentiality that we're not like fully utilizing. So right now we kind of exist on this bridge, and anytime we get afraid of something, anytime we get stressed out or overwhelmed, or we hear it on the internet, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. What's really happening is like our fear center, our amygdala, is getting activated, and it's stopping us from taking action because we're trying to keep ourselves safe. So it's really like it's a time to dig into the fears about like, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of success? Am I afraid of what happens if I do this and I fail? Am I afraid of being seen? So I don't think you're lazy. I don't actually think you're procrastinating. I think you are dysregulated, and you have to create some safety by getting honest with the fears and disproving them, and being really conscious of, hey, this is what's happening. So I'm going to take micro steps, right? You're probably not going to go run the marathon first thing, but I'm going to start training a little bit at a time and creating more safety and showing my body that it's okay to pursue whatever this goal is.
I love that because what happens when the body doesn't feel safe with success?
Oh, you'll sabotage it. If you don't feel safe, you won't go after it, right? And that's sabotage in some way. Not pursuing it is sabotage. Getting it and then having some sort of crisis and needing to like either step away from your business or put out all your money. Like there's so many ways that sabotage um shows up, but basically like if you don't feel safe with success, like your body can't hold it and it will get rid of it in some way, either by never getting there or by it leaving on the other end.
Yes, the body keeps score.
The body keeps the score. Wow, I seriously had no idea what these questions were, and I'm loving them. These are so much better than almost any podcast I've ever been on.
Oh my gosh, don't insult the podcast host. Does this mean I should start a podcast? No.
Yes, I'll listen.
Uh, one thing at a time, micro steps. Okay. You work with psychedelics and microdosing, and what is the most common reason women come to you? And kind of second part of that is the real reason, like, what's the real reason they actually need the work?
Um, okay. I would say most women come to me because they feel like, so not necessarily exactly what you said of like, I've gone to all these doctors and I didn't get like answers or relief, but they feel like they've done so much of whatever else and they're not getting the result they want. So that can look like, I've done so many years of therapy, or like, I don't understand. I've done the personal development workshops and I read the books and I listen to the podcast, and it's just like it's not happening up here. If they're working really hard and it's not sticking. And I just want to say like, yep, same. I was there because I had gone to therapy, and like I'd even gone through my coaching certification that was immersive. So like I got whatever whatever skills I was learning, I received from the facilitator too. So it's just like, what is going on? Then when I got into the research, some brains are really rigid. Like they're really stuck in, it's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? Or it's like you're so stuck in this pattern of behavior. And when we say stuck, we really do mean stuck. Like brains that have anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, addiction, they have really deep grooves and low neuromodulation, low change, low neuroplasticity. And what psychedelics do is they increase the neuroplasticity, they increase the opportunity for neuromodulation. And this isn't for me, this is Paul Stamets, but they like shake the snow globe, metaphorically or proverbially in our mind, give our brains a fresh layer of snow. And then it's like when you go skiing, if you're the first one down the mountain, you're not following anyone's tracks, you're creating the tracks. And so then it finally feels like, oh, all this stuff that I've been doing is like clicking. And that's what I hear so often from people. A woman sent me a message, God, about a year ago. Now she's like signed up for her second retreat, but she was like, I feel like this was the thing that finally made everything click for me, because she's like, I have been in freaking years of therapy. I understand everything that's going on with me, like what happened that was wrong in my childhood, but like it is not working. So this is why it works. It's because we shook the snow globe.
I love that. Would you say, like, people, the women that come to you, do they understand, like, that they actually need the work?
I actually think they're really hard on themselves. I think they
Yeah.
feel like something's wrong with them. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why isn't this working? Right? Whatever
Mhm.
this is, it's therapy, it's personal development, it's coaching. Why isn't it
Yeah.
working? And so then when I mean, we had a pretty like I think in-depth call before we started working together. This is where I'll explain like it's really not you. Like this is what microdosing can do and what it can help you with. And that's what that woman who sent me the text message, like that's what I explained to her before we started working together because she and I did a microdosing deep dive before she ever came on like a retreat or anything. And she was like, "Oh, okay." Like, yeah. And for her, it was also one of those things where she was like, "Why not?" I mean, God knows how much money in like, decades she'd spend in therapy and other stuff. She's like, "We'll do this." At the worst, this is another thing I'll add to my list that doesn't work, but at best, this will be the thing that does. And because I can explain it scientifically, I believe people are more open to being like, okay, that does make sense. Like other people are just like, no, I have the tools for transformation and I can help you. But if you're like, but how? They're like, well, and I'm like, no, how? Here, bop, 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 brains lighting up, connecting. There we go.
Yeah, I love that. I love the that you talk about that with like paving, like basically going down a different path, and how literally if you're one of those people that has anxiety, the list that Julie listed off, whatever. I don't want to say anything that, doesn't, if you're one of those people, like your brain's more rigid,
Yeah,
like it is what it is.
it is.
Um, but there's something that can help, right?
Of course.
Um,
Always.
okay, beautiful. And okay, what's something you wish more women, people knew before they tried microdosing, breath work, any type of healing work?
I know that we call it healing work, but I know you know this about me and just how much I hate like you need to be healed or like you need to be fixed or you need to be broken like that or you're not you need to be broken you are broken. It's just like to me is so gross and it's not true. Like I think of, and this is a weird analogy, but it works in my mind. I feel like everyone when they're born is a perfectly new refrigerator, and the refrigerator is like, it's totally clean, it's brand new, it's sparkly, and then, the refrigerator goes in the kitchen, and what happens? Well, I don't know about you. We're about the same height. I don't dust the top of my refrigerator. So, dust just accumulates up there and it gets dirty, but it's not like the refrigerator is broken. Like the refrigerator isn't bad. But you do have to like wipe off the top and clean off the dust. And then what you have, like basically the same quality brand new refrigerator, but the dust was wiped off. So I don't think anyone is broken. You don't need to be fixed or something wrong with you, but you could use a good like squeaky clean. And that's what this work is about. So I think when we go into it from the space of like, I need to fix something within myself, it's like, oh God, like, babe, I wish you wouldn't think that, like you don't need to fix anything. Like, if anything, we need to let go of the way that hurt people have hurt you. Um, so I think that's just like a more empowered mentality of like, I don't need to improve. I actually need to let go of the things that are holding me back from being my 100% because that's who I like. Your 100% is who you truly are. I think we start to identify with this version of ourselves that is dusty. That dusty version of you is not you. You are the brand new refrigerator.
I love that.
You're a Maytag, baby.
Yeah, I was like, what's the best brand of
I
refrigerator?
don't
Maybe.
know.
No, Maytag's tied and true, I think. I think. Anyway.
Appliances.
Okay, perfect. And you talk a lot about alignment, values, alignment with those values. And how do women unknowingly betray their own values in the name of success?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think the tough part is that like no one asks you as you're growing up and developing like what are your values, and unfortunately just the kind of the way it is. And I would say most societies, you think about Western, Eastern, the US, Asian culture, European, it's just like you grow up and you take on your parents' belief systems. That's why it's so common. Like, if your parents are a certain political affiliation, you'd usually become that a political affiliation. If you grew up in a certain religious household, you're more likely to stay in that religious household, like, or stay in that religion. And if, things are important to your parents, then those become your values. But we never take the moment to stop and think like, okay, I've sort of like been given these, right? It's like a hand-me-down. You get these hand-me-downs from your parents, from your local society, like your community, from what school you go to, and you put them on, but then one day you look in the mirror and you're like, actually, that's not my style. Like that's not my color. I don't like this shirt. I'm only wearing it because someone gave it to me. Like what would I like to wear? And that's what people have to do with their values as adults. And I think, that was definitely my path of I became a lawyer because my mom was like, you need to figure out what you wanted to do after I decided I didn't want to be a doctor. And that's what I landed on, basically making a pros and cons list. And so I kept doing it, but I never really thought like, what do I don't even think I asked myself, what do I want to do? I just wrote down on a list one day, what am I good at? Um, and that's where I got. And like how unromantic and uninspired, and like life is an adventure. I mean, at least do something that lights you up. So yeah, I think it's just we never get asked the question, and you get to like really look at yourself in the mirror and be like, is this shirt, do I like it? Do I like cute in it, or do I want to put on a different shirt?
I love that. And I just want to say, too, Julie sent me Amanda Francis' book, and one of the first chapters, she's like, what do you want? What do you want? And I was like, what do I want? What do I want? It's the $1,000,000 question. So not just what you had been doing for whatever reason, and that's not wrong. It's just taking a step back to look at what you're doing, why you're doing it, I think is what a lot of people skip.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You could be doing something because, like you were kind of positioned in that way through society,
Mhm.
and it could be amazing, right? Like I know that you married your high school sweetheart, right? And you got major affirmance that like, yes, like that is like the relation that we're going to get through everything that we've been going through this hard season, and like it's hard. I'm not saying that it's bad or that it's going to take you down the wrong path, right? Like you found your person. That's amazing. It's also really cool to think about it more intentionally in the driver's seat of like, okay, is this all still what I want?
What the fuck do you motherfucking want? Was the specific question that she puts out there.
Podcast.
Yeah, I know. Here I am. I am who I am. Okay. Switching like topics.
Oh, okay.
What's a red flag that you see when someone wants a transformation or says they want a transformation, but they actually aren't ready for it yet?
Woof. Oh my God. Like, okay, when someone wants to blame something outside of themselves, right? Like, especially if they can say a pattern. Like, I had this one woman one time who was like, I just, have this hard time with friendships and people, people leave me or they're not who they say they are and all these things. And so, you know, happens once, shame on me. Happens twice, shame on you. Wait, happens once, shame on you. Happens twice, shame on me. But like if it keeps happening, maybe there's a deeper pattern to look at. So when someone hasn't taken the time to be like, there's got to be something here for me if it keeps happening and like I want to figure it out. So what this all is pointing to is like essentially a lack of responsibility, right? They don't want to take over any responsibility of the situation. And we're all adults, right? I don't work with children, so I'm not going to say it takes two to tango with children. Like if a child has been abused, neglected, abused emotionally or physically, like that is the parents or the abuser's fault. It does not take two to tango with a child. But if you are an adult, and I only work with women who are like 25 and up. So if you're an adult and things keep happening, like you are contributing to the situation. And I'm not victim blaming, like if someone is in an abusive marriage to say like they're responsible for their partner hitting them at all. What I am saying is there is a certain level of you like continuing to stay in any situation, whether it be a friendship or a relationship that isn't serving you. And I know that it can be scary, and there are, like when we said earlier, like you said, why don't you change something if you say you want a goal? And this can be true if you're in a situation that isn't serving you or isn't supportive. There is a part of you that is very afraid of what lies outside of that, and maybe there are very real things that are concerns for you, but like Anna knows, like with all the stuff that has been coming up in her life, the first thing we do is like we figure out the steps, right? Because it feels really overwhelming and you're like, holy shit, like I have this, I have this, I have this, like I don't know what's going on. It is really overwhelming. So what we always take a few breaths and recenter and think, okay, like what do we get to do? Even if it's just like you have to put 2 hours on your calendar to figure out like what could these next steps look like, right? Like everything is figure outable, and you have to be willing to have the attitude of radical responsibility of figuring it out. Like if you need to leave a relationship, how are we going to leave, right? Like what are the steps? Like there is support out there, and it's also about like deciding that it is figure outable for me and that I will figure out the next steps. I will figure out like the resources that I have available to me, and like we will make it happen. And that's available to you in every situation. So my short answer after my long answer is like you have to be willing to take on an attitude of responsibility of like I am going to change the things in my life that I don't like, because you do play a part in all of them.
I love that. And the like accountability. And that's so true because there have been a number of situations outside of my control. And it's like, okay, what can you do to move the needle forward? Like, what is within your control? And yeah, if someone's a common denominator in situations and they're not going to take a step back and look at it, Julie's not like the life, like the coach for you. She's not. So,
No.
agreed. Okay. If a woman listening feels like 2026 has got to be different, what's the first uncomfortable truth that she needs to face about her current life?
Ooh. Okay. Was not even in the realm of possibilities of questions. I had thought that you might ask me, so let me just take a brief moment. We're gonna inhale, exhale.
You
If
should know
something's
I'm
gotta
full of
change,
surprises. I'm full of surprises.
I want you to not only look at like what's not working, but like what doesn't feel good about what's not working. So you gotta not be only to like label the issue, but also get under the hood a little bit and look at like what about this don't I like, right? So if it's, I don't like the way my business is going, like I'm done with inconsistent revenue months or whatever. Okay, what about how you were pursuing that goal is not in congruence? Like, and your feelings are your guide. I think we discredit feelings so much and we like value systems and rationality and logic, and those things are important, but there are a million ways to get to any destination. And if one really doesn't feel good for you, that is a messenger. I'm not saying like it's hard. Like there's a difference between something being hard and something feeling freaking terrible. Like I'm willing to do the hard work, but if it feels like I am dragging like or pushing the ball, who's that, Sisyphus or whatever? The guy pushing the, who knows? Doesn't matter. But the rock, and he keeps falling down. If it feels like that versus like it feels like you're getting a really good burn at the gym, that's how I know. Like, does it feel like I'm getting a good burn and I'm getting the hype and the endorphins? Or does it feel like this rock that just like freaking sucks pushing up the hill? Well, then there you go. Like the method is the madness. So we have to not only look at what is not working, but like what about the methodology behind that is not feeling good.
I love that. So does Patches. Did you just hear that?
Yeah, I was like, what is that noise? Hi, Patchy.
He decided to join me up here.
Oh my God. Hi, Patches.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, Anna,
We
thank you
made
so
it.
much for having me, for coming, for being here. Okay, I'm trying to think of one last. What's your favorite movie?
Probably The Blind Side.
Oh, okay. Wasn't gonna guess that. The Blind Side, perfect.
Yeah. Or Home Alone, but it is Christmas time, so. But
Mm,
Home Alone's my favorite Christmas movie.
that's so cute. Okay.
Or Bad Moms Christmas. Anyway. Well, I feel like I need to ask you something kind of fun. You're a
Um,
big movie person. What's your favorite movie?
it's called Running on Empty. It's this like little indie film. I really like River Phoenix. He's my favorite actor. Rest in peace. And it's a great movie. These parents are like hippie, anti-establishment, anti-war, Vietnam War, and so they blow up a government building that's producing napalm, and they accidentally blind and wound a guard, and so they've been on the run from the FBI for like years, and their kid is getting to the age where like he can go have his own life, but it's really, it's sad. It's like the story of this really tight knit family and this kid trying to make his own path. And he's a very talented pianist and he wants to go to Juilliard. And it's great. It's a little indie film. I cry every time, even though I know how it ends. So it just puts me in my feels.
Where can people watch that?
I literally bought a DVD of this like decades ago. But I'm sure you could like rent it on Amazon Prime, but it is super indie, super small.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
Yes. Okay. Well, kittens, I always leave you with an integration. And so what I wanted to do today was ask Anna what is her favorite integration, like mode of like tool for integration that she feels like has given her the best results. And I wanted her to share it with you guys so that you can take what she says and go and do it. So
Yes. So when I started working with Julie, she was like, "Well, what are your values?" Like, what do you mean? Because I was in a corporate job at the time, and all I knew is that they had values every year that, yeah, that was a separate thing. But what are your values? I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that question. And so I just encourage everyone to look up like list of values, what yours are, and like what, because that's what drives you at the end of the day is your values. So, for example, when I didn't know what my values were, I was like, I just want people to be nice to other people. I think people should treat people well. Well, how does that translate over into a value? Because then when you start focusing your life on living by your values and what drives you, that like unlocks a whole new level.
I love that. You know that I love
Yes.
values, so I'm glad that they actually made a practical impact on your life. But it's been cool to see you use your values as sort of like a measuring stick for like life has been lifing for you lately, but are you living by your values? If yes, then like I can feel good about myself when I go to sleep. And that at the end of the day, like you can't buy a sense of integrity.
Yes. A lot of times, if integrity is a value at your workplace, it's not the same as integrity. But
No,
seriously, like,
I
because I had
couldn't.
just, if
Yeah.
you're in the corporate world, you have goals and values every year at the company has, and kind it made me look at those from a totally different like lens, and not what are your parents' values. It's what are your values.
Yeah. What are your values? And when
I,
I say integrity, I just mean, are you actually living by them or not?
yes, but one of my values is integrity,
Yes, it
which
is.
we've tried to come up with another word for because
We have an
corporate had
association.
me
Yeah.
too. But
I like
yeah,
integrity, but yes.
yeah.
Um,
Did I explain that exercise well enough? Is there
I
anything you
loved
want to
it.
add to?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for having this conversation with me, for being my first guest. Whoop whoop, for getting all this stuff
Thank
done that you
you.
do in my business all the time.
Thank you.
I love you, and I love you, kittens, and
Yeah.
we'll talk soon. That's the end of today's trip. But remember, the real magic has always been inside of you. If this episode landed, send it to a friend who's ready to step into their next level. And make sure you're following the show so you never miss a dose. I'll be back again soon with another day on the path to your most limitless life. And until then, trust yourself, follow your intuition, and keep asking, how good can it get?